Namaskar, I'm Ashutosh. You're watching NDTV. The show is called Politically Incorrect. Today we'll discuss JNU. Yes, since 2014 there has been a concerted effort to kill JNU as an institution. And this I'm saying not only because I belong to JNU, there I studied for 8 years, but I know JNU in and out. And I also know that JNU is today in defiance. JNU is fighting for its survival. Not only JNU as a physical structure, but JNU as an idea. Who are these people? Why they are trying to do this? We'll discuss today.
Namaskar. Well, educational institutions are made tall because of the way the teachers and the students response to maintaining of academic standards and academic excellence in any institution or campus. Student activism is very much a part and parcel of the campus culture. However, when political parties take center stage of events which are taking place in a university campus, then it can have consequences which can be very, very degenerating on the campus culture. The events which have unfolded in JNU recently are a burning example of this. It is very important that political leaders and political parties should not interfere in whatever is happening in campuses across the country.
On 5th of January, anybody who switched on television by 7:38 should have realized that what is happening to this country. It was not only attack on the democracy, but can you imagine the good 3 hours, 60, 70 masked men and women, they entered campus, they rampaged everything, they took entire university for hostage, police was standing outside, did not interfere, and this was happening not only in JNU, but this was happening in Delhi, the capital of India, where the Prime Minister of the country sits, where the Home Minister of the country sits, where the President of India, where the entire parliament is there. Despite that, there was no interference. These 60, 70 masked men and women, they came, they rampaged, they created mayhem, they beat up, moved from one hostel to another, from another to another. They broke bones, everything they did. And then they coolly walked off. Nothing happened. Why should I not think that this was done in connivance with the JNU administration? This was done in connivance with the police administration. This was done in connivance with the political party which is in government today. It is impossible to think. And I'm not saying whether they were urban Naxals or whether they were the ABVP or anybody else. My concern is, can you imagine a situation that 60, 70 people going on rampage, police standing outside, not interfering, and then walking away coolly? If that is the scenario, then we all should be scared today. And JNU is not an ordinary institution. I had lived in JNU, I studied in JNU, and I can tell you that JNU is an idea. JNU is probably the best university this country has ever produced. Today there is an attempt to kill the idea of JNU, which believes in debate and discussion, which believes in peaceful resolution of things, which believes in gender equality, which believes in the safety and security of women, which believes and interacts and invents all kinds of new things and new ideas. If there's an effort to kill that institution, that's a very, very scary thing, not only for the JNU, but for the entire democratic society in the country.
You know, when violence takes place in university campuses, it is really a serious concern. Because this is a place where, students, the youth of this country, they go. What they should be having, books and pens in their hands. But what eventually has happened in JNU is something which is of concern, and any student group which has been involved in any kind of violence, it is very important that punitive action should be taken. And those who have gone against the law, they must be booked, irrespective of whichever political thought or ideology they belong. But what is important here is also to raise that those who are coming out and crying loud that things have gone wrong in JNU, it is very important to note that why is it that those who were spearheading ostensibly this this campaign ostensibly on a fee hike, why is it that when these political, student groups which are dominantly by, led by the left-wing student groups, when they are the ones who are stopping the students, those who are independent students who have nothing to do with any kind of political groups, want to go sit for their exams, why is it that when they were being stopped, they were being beaten up in JNU? Why is it that none of these so-called civil rights activists and political leaders, none of them came out and spoke? Why is it that when in the beginning of the semester, when the students, they wanted to register themselves, who wanted to attend classes, who wanted to go to the lab and do their research, when they were not being allowed, why is it that these people never came out and spoke against that?
Both the views have been put forward very illicitly, and the issue we are discussing today is who's responsible for the violence in JNU. JNU is not only the country's top university, but whatever has happened here has found resonance across several universities, several campuses, not only in India, but abroad also, and different sections of society as well. The way the violence was perpetrated and the way it is being dealt with by the police has raised a host of questions, and my audience here is having a lot of questions regarding this. So let's open the show to the audience, politically incorrect, and I'm starting from my left. Yes, you wanted to ask something.
So my question is that JNU, all of us know that JNU is basically not, apart from being one of the most prestigious universities of the country, is also one of the most politically active. I believe politically active in terms of a positive unity for common humanity. Then why is it so linking to whatever happened on January 5 and a few, whatever has been happening since a few months in JNU? Why is it so that whatever happens there, for whatever things the student union, the student themselves, they stand up, why are they called anti-national and then beaten up for the same?
Well, you're absolutely right. When Mohammad Chagla, who was a well-known jurist and education minister in Jawaharlal Nehru's government, when floated this whole idea of a free-thinking university, which later, took shape in JNU, could have actually never fathomed that what he had thought about is going to be in newspapers somehow for all the wrong reasons. Now, that does not mean that no good work is being done over there. There are, researchers, there are scientists, and there are, eminent academicians who are doing very good work. But somehow, why is it that that is not what gets reported in the newspapers? And it is not that, it is only since 2014 that the campus has been a part of such type of controversies. In 1983, do you know that 83-84 in JNU, it was a 0-year declared. It was that no classes had taken place. Those students, they lost 1 year because there certain political, certain student groups, they went on rampage over there. They even so much so damaged the house of the vice chancellor. His electricity board and telephone lines, they were ripped apart, and the police had marched inside the campus. Indira Gandhi wanted to come. She was stopped from entering the campus because of, after which there was, so this type of an action had taken place. So there has been a history of it. No, I'm trying to say that there has been a history where time and again, these kind of things have happened, and there are very, you see, it is not that out of the 7,000 plus students who study there, most of them, no, it is just a few, maybe, less than 1,000 students who are dominating, but they are the ones who are, from the left-wing ideology, these groups, they have been dominating the academia as well as the student politics, student activism of JNU since the JNU came into existence. However, now since there is an alternative thought process which for the last few years is making its presence
Right, Geeta, we have a lot more questions and we will not be able to take
it is this which is causing this conflict.
Yes. So that is one point of view. Another point of view comes from here.
Hello, sir. My question is for you. If there's a group fighting with each other or argue with each other, but this time, why does the politics are involved in this? Like politicians like Priyanka Vadra.
See, there are two issues here. I would have been glad if Geeta would have mentioned how for 3 hours the university was taken for rampage. She was discussing pre-rampage situation in JNU. Why she skipped that, it's beyond my my understanding.
I'll come to that. I'll come to that.
I'll be glad if you throw some light on that.
Yes, sure.
The second point is she did not answer the question that why now JNU is bracketed
No, my
as an
time got over.
anti-national.
I wanted to come
She
to
went
that.
back to 1983. That is one incident in the last, how many years? 17 plus 20, 37 years. One incident was mentioned. I'm glad that at least you mentioned that. Today, Mr. Y.K. Alak, the ex-Vice Chancellor of the JNU, has written a moving piece about JNU. And he has said that JNU is one of the brightest institutions this country has produced. And he also mentioned that how students were on strike, and he had gone and talked to the students and sorted out the issues. Today, unfortunately, JNU is led by a man, I'm not mincing my words, is an incompetent vice chancellor. Whatever the problem is happening in JNU, it is because of this one man. He is not willing to speak to the students. The students, the vice chancellor is the guardian. He's like a father figure. If the students are on the wrong path, it's his duty to talk to them.
Ma'am, my question is with you. My name is Faz. Ma'am, I'm not going to go to the history or something like that. I'll be stick on the January 5th. At that time, some faces are there which are identified, but there is no punitive action against him. Even the action is for JNU SU president, what you have seen in the FIR that is launched for her. What kind of dilemma that the police is...
See, I cannot speak for Delhi police, but yes, I think each one of you, as I saw that there was a very large advertisement which was placed yesterday in all the national dailies, where the Delhi police has asked that whosoever has got any kind of an evidence, they can come to the admin block and submit it in the next, they have given a time span, from a time duration, they can come and submit it so that it helps them in doing a fair investigation. And of course, a fair investigation must be done. Whosoever are those who have, who have done the kind of violence that happened, they must be put to the book. But at the same time, I would like to inform you that there is a High Court order which says that within 100 meters of administration block, there cannot be any kind of sloganeering or, students can come together or this kind of things cannot happen. But this has been violated time and again by certain students group. So are we not here? I mean, they're students, since you people are young minds. It is important that we need to discuss the accountability also of the student leaders or of student groups, that while the government says, I mean, you have a right to drive, you have a right to drink, you have a right to elect a government. You have so many rights, you get scholarships from the government. Why is it that the students themselves have, why can't we be accountable for vandalizing our own campuses?
The students are accountable, the police is also accountable. The students are accountable, the police is accountable, and they're accountable for the delay of 4 hours. They were called 4 hours before and they entered at about 7:45. This is also being talked about, and I want to take a question regarding this, the way police has dealt with violence in Jamia and the way violence has been dealt with by the Delhi police here in JNU. Any questions on that?
My question to sir, that whenever the violence is done by the left side, left wing, at that time we silent, all the secular gang is silent. But when the same violence, maybe they are the masked man, we are saying no, we are start blaming the government without any investigation. We say it has been done by the right wing or the government. Why? Why this impartiality?
A very good word called secular gang. I love to belong to that gang. At least I'm secular. At least I'm not communal. At least I don't spit venom. At least I don't talk about hatred among the society. I love to belong to that secular gang. I'm secular. I'm very proud to be secular. See, firstly, let me narrate the incident. Again, Geeta ji has skipped the question. The 3 hours these 70 masked men, they took the entire campus for rampage. Police was standing outside.
Why
did
is
nothing.
it that let the investigation
I'll appreciate if she utter a word on that.
I have already said
Geeta ji, you should condemn that.
It is condemnable, and those who are responsible, they must be booked. I have said it umpteen number of times.
I think let's
answer this question. See, it's not about police standing outside. 3:45, 2 o'clock, a scuffle happens at the administrative block. 3:50, around the 3:30 at the Periyar mess. 3:45, the police was informed in writing by the JNU administration. Police comes and the DCP of that area, Mr. Devendra Arya, is on record saying कि गुंडों ने पुलिस को देखा और भाग गए. Now imagine, 70 masked men saw police and ran away. 6:30, the violence again starts. 7 o'clock, they enters into the Sabarmati. By 7:50, the police was again there at the Sabarmati. What the police was doing? On the public address system, आप लोग बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, कृपया चले जाइए यहाँ से. When the rampage was happening, the somebody would have died on that day. Police did nothing. It happened in front of the police. Police should have stopped, did not stop. Now the Vice Chancellor is saying, कि 7:45 I have given the permission. You all have watched television. Not before 9 o'clock the police has entered. By 8, police has reached at the gate. Now the issue is, when those masked men, they disappeared simply by the sight of the police, were so belligerent that police was standing and they took the entire thing for rampage. They did nothing. Police did not enter. And this happened when the Prime Minister of this country, and I call him a Superman, is there. The most competent Home Minister is there in Delhi, and the most competent police commissioner ever produced in the history, Mr. Amul Patnaik, is there. 70 masked men, they come to JNU, they take the community for hostage, and police does nothing, and not a single soul is arrested. And for the last more than 100 hours, nobody has been identified, nobody is arrested.
So big question mark.
It's a big conspiracy.
I want to add just one small thing to what Ashutosh ji is saying. Since you talked about, he said that I am a proud member of the secular gang. So I just want to add, yesterday
you should also be secular.
I am secular.
Don't feel bad about it.
Our country is secular. I am secular, but I am not a part of the gang. I am not a part of the gang. I am secular, but I am not part of the gang. In Vishwabharati University, just 10 seconds, in Vishwabharati University, in Shanti Niketan, yesterday there was a very peaceful seminar in which the Vice Chancellor was sitting, which was to discuss about this CAA. And there was a student mob outside which did not let a peaceful seminar, they did not let it happen. They were held, hostage inside for hours together, for 10 hours. And they just wanted a confrontation, did not allow the seminar to happen. I am just waiting when the secular gang is going to come out and going to condemn it and say that this was wrong.
I belong to the secular gang and I condemn in the strongest possible way. Will you condemn what happened in JNU?
I have condemned
I think
already condemned it.
This debate is getting very hot. This debate is getting very hot. I need to take a break on Politically Incorrect. We'll be back in a short while. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Politically Incorrect, and questions and lots of questions swarming around. We have lots of students behind me, and they have lots of questions on who perpetrated the violence in JNU and who is responsible for it. Will any accountability be ever fixed on this? So let's start from this side. A lot of questions coming from here.
Hello, ma'am. My question is with you that professional security force has been hired by the JNU administration. Then how outsiders in a large number, they enter into the university with rods and sticks? And why they are not being questioned? These forces are not being questioned. And because it is raising issue about the security and safety of the students inside the campus who are studying over there inside the campus. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, you see, this is something which is it is something very serious, and this needs to be investigated. And as I have said umpteen number of times, that it is very important that those who have, broken law, they need to be booked for it. That there are no two ways about it. However, you see, it is very important at the same time to also see that, the students should not become, pawns in the hands of political parties and political leaders. So whenever in university system, whenever in university campus, if the political leaders and political parties will start calling the shots and decide that what is going to be discussed over there, then these kind of problems are going to happen.
One more question from this side.
सर, ये मुद्दा हुआ जब कुछ स्टूडेंट लोग जा रहे थे रजिस्ट्रेशन करने के लिए, एडमिशन करने के लिए, तो ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाती जब कॉलेज एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन आपस में बात करते, पर इसे क्या पॉलिटिकल इशू बनाना जरूरी था?
देखिए, पहली बात तो आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा, ये मुद्दा तो दिसंबर के महीने में ही सॉल्व हो गया था। एचआरडी मिनिस्ट्री ने के साथ जवाहरलाल नेहरू विश्वविद्यालय के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बीच में एक फॉर्मूला तय हो गया था, उस फॉर्मूले के तहत सब कुछ तय हो गया था। लेकिन उसके बाद न जाने कहां से क्या फोन आया और उसके बाद वाइस चांसलर साहब ने कहा कि नहीं,
क्या आपको कैसे
Students भी
पता है
तैयार
आप
थे।
इतने आप
मैं
were you a
let-
part of how do you know this?
वो तो सारी अखबारों में सारी चीजें
नहीं, अखबारों में
I'm
ये
not a
नहीं
superhuman.
छपा है।
I read newspapers.
अखबारों में ये नहीं छपा है।
दूसरी
I
बात क्या
also
है?
read newspapers.
दूसरी
I did
बात
not
क्या है?
find this.
दूसरी
That
बात
is
क्या
the
है?
reason.
कि ये स्टूडेंट्स हैं, ये स्टूडेंट्स हैं, they are future leaders. They should know politics of this country. They should know the ideology of the country. It is the students in 1974 who came on the strike and dislodged Mrs. Gandhi, who imposed emergency. That's why the political parties are scared of these students. In the first time in the last 30 years, the students from the St. Stephens are on the streets. The brightest students in the country are on the street today. Why? Because they are unhappy, they are anguished, and they think they are being, that their voices is being muzzled.
So time now to take closing comments from both our panelists, Geeta.
Well, you see, there are nearly 800 universities in this country with more than 3 crore students who have enrolled for, undergraduate courses. And some of them, they are protesting, which they are fully entitled to. They must, they must protest if they want to. But the point is that while the university campuses, their, academic decorum and sanctity, if we want that they should be maintained, that it is very important that the students should take a call what they want to discuss, what they want to, without any political interference. The way the political leaders and so-called civil rights activists suddenly, the moment a controversy happens in JNU, the way they land up, it very well shows that there is a lot of orchestration behind it than just some genuine concerns. It could have easily been there was nothing happening over there if the students were allowed to register for the new semester, which a large amount of them wanted to do. This thing would not have happened.
You all must have seen how this young girl, Aishi Ghosh, was beaten up. You must have seen the blood on her head.
Yes.
And the hands broken. Do you want the student to suffer something like that? No? That's the issue. The issue is the students' voice is today being muzzled because they are rebellious, because they want to speak up, because they are the voice of dissent in the country. If the voice of dissent in the country is suppressed, people will come on the streets. And I'm glad that the students have realized that if the democracy has to survive in the country, they have to come on the street and they have to agitate peacefully. They are not the students like in Ahmedabad who broke the bones of students in Ahmedabad. You all had seen those visuals. So I think let's not get to that situation. And I hope the situation,
I just
the government realizes.
Ashutosh also
and the Vice
talked about
Chancellor
all the other students who have been, brutally beaten in JNU along with Aishi.
Did I take the name of
this debate
ABVP?
can go on endlessly.
Did I take the name of ABVP?
This debate is endless.
Please,
Why
lend
so
our
much?
support to all the students.
This
There are
debate
a
can
large
go
number
on
of students,
endlessly.
who have.
This debate can go on endlessly and we can have several chapters of politically incorrect on this, but I hope that those who perpetrated this violence are brought to book and the masked men are held accountable and JNU returns to what it's known best for. That's all from us at Politically Incorrect. Thanks for watching.